We're not playing the music this time, are we?
We're not.
No intro music for the live show.
But now we're live because
yeah.
we are traveling.
Yeah, that's
travel
fine.
live.
The travel live.
It's a travel live today.
Over here in the high desert.
Yeah.
It's like hot in the day and like cold as crap overnight.
Yeah, it's a little bit of back and forth as
Yeah.
far as the temperature goes. You get hot out in the sun, and then it gets really, really cold in
Yeah.
the shade. And then
I brought layers, so it's fine.
that's good. But welcome to another episode of Down by the Stream. We are your awesome hosts. I'm Ramiro.
And I'm Chelsea.
And we first want to apologize for last weekend.
Yeah, it was Super Bowl, and we didn't do like a preemptive warning that we might not make it to the live. Also, one more thing while we're getting started, quick reminder. We are on YouTube, so like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. Click that little bell so you get notifications in case you miss the lives. And then we also repost on Spotify every Monday, so you can find us there Down by the Stream. The links are on our Instagram, and I think they're working now on our Facebook page. But yeah, join us over there if you guys missed the live. But anyways,
Here we go.
back to today.
Yeah. So yeah, Super Bowl weekend was. We were like, oh yeah, we can do it after. Well, Super Bowl didn't end till like 6 or something.
It was stupid for us to like assume that.
Yeah.
Because drinking and partying and food and cleanup and things.
Yeah, we still had friends over. We were all hanging out, so it was it was a bit tough. But that being said, though, we did say we were coming Monday, but
And then we failed you again.
we failed again. So
We are sorry.
yeah, we didn't want to skip this weekend out as well. So this one might be a little bit shorter. Like I had mentioned earlier, we are visiting some family, so I don't want to be away from them for too long. But we also wanted to make sure we did
Let me see the comments over here. Okay, right there.
we just wanted to make sure that we were able to make this one at least this weekend and stuff like that. So so appreciate you guys being here.
Yeah.
And just like Oliver Queen says, and Dave as well, we have failed the city.
Okay, we're going to make up for it now. So
Yeah. So a couple things we wanted to talk about today, and we'll eventually start putting more polls and stuff like that into these. It's just tough to be able to do it at the same time while trying to make the discussion or making sure it's.
wait, do you like write this with your little pen on your phone?
I do.
Oh my gosh.
I do.
I feel like I want to screenshot this and show you guys, like maybe on the Instagram,
Oh,
like his handwriting.
It's terrible.
Like,
but
yeah.
I write all my stuff, all the ideas.
That's
I can't read
great.
them. But I write all my ideas.
I
on
love
there.
it.
So, because it's a kind of a spur of the moment, and to me, like to handwrite it really quickly is easier than trying to text it for whatever reason. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
I get it. I understand.
Because then you have to unlock it, but because this phone has the S Pen or whatever, you don't have to unlock it. It just opens it.
Yeah,
up.
it's very convenient.
Yeah. But we got a few topics for you all today, and it'll be kind of fun. So the first one is one I wanted to talk about a while back, and we didn't get into it.
I feel like we touched a little on it. Ooh, oh my god, I'm so sorry. I don't know why I'm tired. Okay, I feel like we touched on it a little bit.
Kind of, but we never really dove into it.
Yeah.
But it was like weekly reward that you give yourself, like during the week or monthly or every couple months or whatever. So for example, like every week, every Friday, I make it kind of like my like splurge day, if you will. So I will go get coffee in the morning. I'll go to Starbucks or somewhere and go get coffee.
Mhm.
I'll go out to lunch and go get myself like something, I don't know, some tacos from somewhere, or go to Bugs from down the street or something like that. But I'll try and like treat myself to go and do something that's, to look forward to, like the end of the week, especially a Friday is like the best day to do it. Do you do anything like that?
I mean, wine. I go to Bevmo. Get myself some wine on Friday when you're at the shop, and then I'm drinking wine when you get home. I don't know that I I don't feel like I do anything else though. I feel like I'm just like, I'm excited to come home and you're not home, because then I can watch all my true crime stuff, and like that's also how I reward myself. Where like I wouldn't binge or watch whatever TV shows that like I didn't watch during the week.
Yeah.
Like catching up on Love is Blind, because watch that show.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not watching that.
It's so good. It's so cringy. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, like I think everybody needs something like that, like even if it's just small things, like like you go out on the weekend. Some people don't drink during the week. I'm the type that tries to do that as well, where I try not to drink during the week, unless it's like special occasion kind of a thing, going out to dinner or whatever. But like, yeah, if we're not going anywhere, we're just going home and kind of hanging out at home, I'll make sure I don't drink during the week. And then the weekend comes, and that kind of gives me a better, it makes it easier to, be able to enjoy a drink, or be able to enjoy, like a lot more beverages, I guess. It could
Beverages. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, but I don't know.
But like your coffee thing, and you're going out to eat like once a week is good.
Yeah, because I try and look forward to something. Like like when you're gonna go on a trip or something, and
yeah. So like trips wise, I definitely reward myself by buying things that I won't wear until the trip.
Oh.
Like I'll buy like new things on Amazon. So like, because we're going to Cancun this year, not next year, whatever. Whenever we go, I'm gonna like order a bunch of stuff, and I'm gonna like pack it in my suitcase. And I'm not gonna open it until we get there. I don't know. It's really rewarding myself, but like that's what I do. I always wait until the vacation.
Yeah, because you don't want to see it, and then
and like I'll try it on and make sure I like it.
Yeah.
But it's also motivation for me to continue working out until said vacation. And then my reward for working out for so long at a time and being healthier is the new bikini or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just not weekly, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like everybody needs to have some sort of reward, whether it be at the end of the week, monthly.
My reward is this podcast that I get to do with you every Sunday.
Oh, stop. It's not.
It's fun though. I like it.
It is.
I have a good time.
Yeah. I mean, unless that's what you see as like your reward, like for like a tough week, like a tough week or like a busy week or something.
I mean, I get excited to do the podcast after like a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like a self-reward is what I mean.
Wine.
So would you call this a self-reward?
Probably not. It's just something I look forward to.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I don't know. I suck at this. I suck at this topic.
No, it's still.
Oh my gosh, I suck at this topic.
I mean, it still counts, But yeah, so let us know what rewards you guys give yourselves, and what do you do on a either be a daily basis, like if do you like try and reward yourself after you do a certain amount of steps. Do you like go get like ice cream or something, or weekly, monthly, yearly, just something that you kind of give yourself a little bit. So, but to kind of jump on a different topic, and this is kind of how it's going to kind of go from this point forward.
We're just going to be
jumping,
random.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Because normally I'm
what else you got?
to be able to, weave my way into topics, but I can't think of one to jump from this little fun fact of the day, or not fun
Yeah.
fact, but interesting fact.
Okay. What else you got, Mr. Producer Man?
I'm not a producer. I just come up with random things to talk about.
That's producing.
um, so, so lately, you know, there's been a lot of talk of a bunch of stuff happening. Now, we won't go into the UFO things. I want to do that on a different day.
Yeah, because that
There's been
doesn't have to
lot
be a
that's
topic
happened
change.
from
That's
our
a whole
last-
ass. Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a lot that's happened from our last podcast versus today. And I mean, I'd like to talk about the Super Bowl. I'd love to talk about you guys' thoughts on the halftime show, the UFOs that have been popping up all over the world. But we would literally be on here for hours. And, you know, today wouldn't be the best day to be able to do a lengthy
Yeah.
podcast. But
Oh, and it's fine. Super Bowl halftime show has been talked about enough. So I feel like
yeah, I guess that's fair.
everybody has already talked about their opinions. Unless y'all want to know, we can talk about it later.
Yeah.
Leave it in the comments.
But so I found out that the Earth's core is actually starting to slow down. Right? So
Okay.
anybody who's seen The Core, which is a very underrated movie, I really like that movie. And if you don't like it, there's something wrong with you. You just gotta really just not look into this movie as it being an amazing movie.
I haven't watched it in so long. I feel like I don't even remember what it is about. I mean, like, besides like the Earth's core, but like I don't remember.
You know, we've watched it like a
I
couple years
know,
ago.
and I don't remember it.
All right. Small recap about The Core. So what ends up happening is that years ago, scientists, you know, were saying that the Earth's core was slowing down, and because of that, there was a lot of natural disasters that were happening throughout the world.
So is that what's happening now?
No,
Okay.
I mean, that we know of. I don't know. They could be they could be happening. They could not. But so what they were talking about is the scientists, you know, pretty much said, hey, the Earth's core is slowing down, and it's we need to figure out a way to restart it up, to get it spinning again,
Okay.
because the Earth's core is what keeps our magnetic field active.
Okay.
Billions of iron that's spinning, and that spinning iron is what causes a magnetic field.
Okay.
Well, that's what keeps us from getting fried from UV light and stuff
Right.
from the sun. Well, it's not so. It is slowing down, and it is going to eventually stop. But that doesn't mean that the magnetic field is going to go away, because it's such a massive amount of iron that it will eventually, it'll still be there, but it will dissipate. But what they're theorizing is that it's going to reverse its spin.
So then is that going off of that the other thing where people will talk about how like the poles are gonna like shift like 90 degrees?
No, they would flip entirely.
I thought they were only gonna shift 90 degrees.
No. So they would flip entirely. They would flip.
Google that, because I thought it was a 90-degree shift, not a 180 shift.
I heard it was
Oh my god, I'm gonna Google it. I'm gonna Google it
full 180.
right now.
But in the said movie, they went, it's a movie and it's a fantasy movie, so they created this like machine that can dig into the Earth's core through the mantle and stuff. Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. So
In
the Earth's-
300,000 years, so it would
which we're due for, is what they're
a whole ass shift.
Yes.
180. We're just gonna go upside down.
No, we wouldn't be upside down. It's just so the magnetic compass instead of
Would be
pointing
upside
north,
down. It would
be
point
pointing
south.
Exactly. But nothing would really change. Avionics and stuff like that, like
Interesting.
would need to be recalibrated.
But
for it.
yeah, anybody that doesn't know directions now will certainly not do it then.
Yeah. So
Just
but so in the movie they go into the core. They use nuclear bombs to reignite it, and there's a lot more that goes into it. Obviously, they have to have some trauma or drama in it. So they reignite it, and then all the storms go away. There's like storms and flooding and earthquakes and volcanoes and all this stuff. It's all crazy, but they're saying that this is actually a very common occurrence. That this happens a lot. As far as the history,
Every
of,
300,000 years.
yeah,
Not common, but it is a normal thing.
Well,
I think is the way we should phrase it.
in the what,
Scale of like billions and billions of existence.
in the scale
Sure.
of the history of the Earth,
Yeah, sure.
it's very common. It's
Okay.
not common for us because we're still so young in the in the history of the Earth. So
Yeah.
yeah, to us it's like holy crap, like it's the end of the world. No, it's very common occurrence for the poles to shift, and they have a lot of evidence of that from volcanic eruption and dried magma pools and not magma, lava flows. Magma is in the earth, lava is out.
Yes.
And they can see the actual iron in the lava and it pointing south.
Oh.
Like
Huh.
it's supposed to be pointing the other way, but
Yeah.
it's pointing the opposite direction.
Interesting.
So, not to freak anybody out, but
Everything is fine.
I don't think it's going to happen in our lifetime. They said that they don't even know when it'll actually shift.
But also, you said if it did, nothing changes. We just have to recalibrate our compasses.
Essentially.
What if that's no? Okay, I don't want to get into that. Okay, so it might happen.
But I have no idea if it's going to happen in our
It
lifetime.
could be all over the
This is
conversation.
still a whole like developing thing that they're
Fascinating,
trying to,
really.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
trying to figure out like how to
Totally.
when it'll happen, but they don't know exactly.
Yeah.
But just like the Earth spins faster every year
Right.
by what is it, microseconds?
Mm-hmm.
So every what did they say? I say it's like every 7 to 10 years, we have to adjust our atomic clock by like 1 microsecond or something like that.
Okay.
So the days get longer.
Okay.
So that's wild.
But it's moving faster. Wouldn't they be shorter?
Or is it slowing down? I can't remember. It's faster. or slower?
Anyways, things are adjusting. Things are
Things
changing.
are changing.
Things are changing in the
It's
universe,
something like
in the
that.
multiverse, in the place.
Yeah. Multiverse. Well, we won't get into that because that's a whole nother conversation. in
There
itself.
is one. There is one, though.
But speaking of like, you know, um,
There is one.
so you know, so speaking about like natural disasters, all that stuff. So the one that recently happened out in Turkey, you know, that one was insane. They're, you know, first of all, like that is a super crazy natural disaster as far as the death count that they have.
And very, very sad.
Yeah. Like I hate to be the, well, you know,
I mean, tragic, and it's scary.
our
It's a little
hearts
scary.
and, you know, our condolences and stuff like that, because that's not going to bring somebody back, but there's no really
Right,
other
but
thing you can do.
it's very sad.
Yeah. So what's funny is so that type of earthquake that happened over there was a 7.4 that happened here in Ridgecrest. Back in 2018, 17 or 18. And, you know, it's really crazy to see what can really happen in two different environments, but almost the same magnitude. I don't know what the damage scale is on a, you know, 0.4%, like 0.4
Yeah.
scale.
But regardless, too, I think, because I know we talked about this before about how just like the buildings here are definitely stronger and not as high in
Yeah.
that where there's not the weight up here, but the buildings in Turkey, because you watched that video that talked about how whatever kind of buildings they're called, but they don't have a lot of support in that bottom level, and then everybody lives on top of it. And so when those earthquakes hit, especially one of that magnitude, it causes that collapse in the bottom row, and then the weight just kind of collapses the rest of the building.
Yeah.
And though they have regulations in their law for those buildings, the regulations have not been enforced. And then old buildings that existed before these regulations became a thing, they were never forced to to change. So so that's why there was so much destruction, which led to death and injuries and stuff like that.
Yeah. So we saw this Vice special that kind of went into like why this disaster was so much more intense versus
Much worse than it should have been.
Than it should have been. And a lot of it was just infrastructure and the structures themselves.
Yeah, structures and building regulations, and
Yeah.
that was the summary of it, basically, what I said.
Yeah. So it's a really good episode to watch. I mean, it is super sad. I mean, regardless, but it's an intense thing to kind of grasp.
Just a crazy world event that happened.
I mean, the one that hit here, I mean, it was crazy. It was 4th of July, and I remember, I was out in DC with my mom and my sister, and we just got into what they call the mall, where all the Smithsonian is, and the Capitol building is all at, and we got a call from my mom, and she's my grandmother, sorry mom, just freaking out, and they're like, they're panicking, and we're trying to figure out what's going on. And they said that they said that it was just like everything was moving, that like they couldn't stand, like they were falling, and like they've never felt anything like it.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, they felt like somebody literally was just shaking the floor from under them.
Ugh. I can't even imagine.
And we're so far away, so we're like, what do we do? Like, there's nothing we can do. So we, we're like, as long as everybody's okay, we just made the best of the day as much as we could. But everybody was sleeping outside. Like my parents were sleeping out on the lawn, in like tents and stuff, and all the neighbors were doing the same because they had no idea.
They didn't
what was
know.
Gonna happen,
with the aftershocks and stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, not thankfully, but overall there wasn't a whole lot of deaths. There was a few unfortunate deaths, but I mean,
I feel like one of them, I don't know that it was directly related to the earthquake, but it happened at the same time.
The guy that was under his Jeep, and it fell.
Was that direct?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know, but they found him, but it kind of was within the same amount of time.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, I could be totally wrong, but
yeah. But there's some really crazy photos, aerial views of like how much the earth actually shifted.
Yeah, that's so crazy.
Like a ton.
Do you remember? It's crazy because like, I mean, something of that magnitude would definitely shift like the tectonic plates and stuff, and shift where things are for sure. But do you remember the one that hit Borrego Springs? It was back when I had my own apartment and you were living with Ruben.
Oh yeah.
And like, I remember just like waking up in the middle of the night, and like it felt like my bed was swaying. And I remember looking at my cat, and I thought he was like scratching. And then I looked, and he just like looked up and woke up from his sleep. And he was like, yeah, dude, I don't know. And it was like 1:15 in the morning. And that was when I worked at 2 a.m. because I worked at the local news station here. And that's when I was like, well, I guess we're all going to go to work now. And so I went to work early because I knew everybody else would too, because we ended up covering that.
Yeah.
So it was wild. And that was definitely not anywhere near the magnitude that he here, but it was still crazy.
Yeah, I remember that one. I remember I was got off of work, and that'd be the time like I would play video games with some friends, and I was up. It was like at 2 a.m. or something like that. It was like 1:30, and I just hear this huge rumbling, and what sounded like a crash, and I was like, holy crap, like I'm pretty sure there was a crash outside of my house. And next thing I know, I just feel the whole place shake. I'm like, holy crap, dude, like there's an earthquake. He's like, what? I was like, yeah, there's an earthquake right now. And I was like, that was crazy. And mind you, I'm from California, and so I've only literally felt that was the first.
That was the first one you had felt?
Yeah, there was. So I'll finish that story in a second.
Okay.
I was still living with my parents here in Ridgecrest, and I had just went to the bathroom and I was washing my hands, and as I'm opening the door, I'm like looking down the hall to the living room, and I just see all the picture frames like flopping off the wall, and I'm just like standing in the door frame, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then everybody's running out of their rooms. Like, oh my God, like, is everybody okay? And then my mom's freaking out because at the time my little brother was much younger. So she's like, where's the kid? Where's the baby? Where's the baby? And then people were like, he's okay. He's okay. And I was like, what just happened? They're like, you didn't feel that earthquake? I'm like, no.
That's so crazy that you didn't.
And it was like, it had to have been like a 5.0 or if
I felt two others before, and one of them was actually when I worked for the company that you're working for now, when I was working up in North County. And I remember like being in the office, and I just like looked at the wall, and like all the like the clipboards on the wall like started swaying, and I just remember like, oh, and that was the first one that I had ever felt. And that's when I realized, oh, shoot, that's an earthquake. Okay. But it was like a really mild one. It just kind of like swayed everything.
Yeah.
And then there was another one besides that one that hit Borrego and the one that hit here. There was another one. We were in the newsroom. Actually, I wonder if that day was the one that hit here. Do you know if that one was felt in San Diego?
From what I heard, yeah.
Because that might have been the one that was felt in San Diego when me and my coworker were in the newsroom. We were like editing videos, and I remember like all the monitors started shaking, and he was like kind of like kitty corner from me, and we both stood up and looked at each other as if to like confirm like, yeah, that wasn't me shaking the table.
Yeah.
Like, and then that was when all the news broke out, and I actually do think that was the one that hit here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and the one that happened in Borrego, that one was crazy because as soon as I said there was an earthquake, I want to say it was like a minute and 30 seconds, maybe 2 minutes
that
later
one was,
or something like that. He told me I just felt it.
Yeah.
So it was really weird to like have me get it hit first and then it hit him.
That one like shook for a while though, because I just remember being on my bed and my bed just like swaying like this.
Yeah.
And like for so long that I really thought the cat was just like scratching his ear. And then until he looked at me like, bitch, is not me.
Yeah. I think the difference too is that being, over in Turkey and in Syria, there was, I think they're in more mountainous areas. So,
yeah.
That type of rock and landscape tends to transfer the shock waves better than it would here, because here, I mean, there's still, this it used to be like a lake, I guess, like that it used to be underwater because it's essentially a valley.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of bedrock and it's a lot more sand, so I feel like that kind of dampens it. I mean, it's still strong. It's not like you're still gonna feel it, but I feel it like, kind of like as opposed to, like when you're throwing like a rock in water versus you're throwing a rock in sand, it'll still dissipate.
Yeah.
Not as far as if like it's water where it'll like.
You remember that one too that hit when we lived where we're living now, and like Fabian was walking down the stairs and it just kind of like rolled through like a little wave.
Oh,
and
that
then
was
like
crazy.
And then like Fabian stopped on the stairs and we all looked at each other like, yeah, that was definitely a thing.
Yeah, I felt it hit my feet and then
it was
it like
crazy.
went all the way through up my legs and up to my head. That was really
it was just
scary.
like the weirdest like roll. And for anybody on the TV, for anybody watching on the video on the live or on YouTube, you can see me moving my hands. But like that's like the best way to describe it. It was like a wave.
Yeah,
it was the weirdest thing.
Yeah. And a lot of things too. So Dave was talking about he was on his bike and didn't feel anything. A lot of big accidents that happen during big earthquakes is because when a car's moving, there's contact.
You don't notice it.
But when the road is shifting under it and it hits hard enough and people aren't ready for it, the car will start to lose traction.
Yeah.
And the car will
and when it's just like
grip.
And when it's just like a mild earthquake, you just don't notice it because you're moving.
Yeah.
Like, It's so crazy. Earthquakes are crazy.
Yeah. So one of the other things, one of the questions I had in there was, like what natural disasters scare you the most?
Oh yeah, and you wanted me to talk about this.
Yeah.
So tornadoes from the Midwest. Okay, I'll get my knee out of the freaking camera. So when I was younger, like I really like tornadoes. I'm really fascinated by them. I like that you can kind of know that they're coming ahead of time. Not a lot of the time, but you know what you're looking for if you've lived in the Midwest and you've experienced a tornado, or you've watched an episode of Storm Chasers. The sky turns green. It sounds like you're listening to like a train, and you just hear like, but like way deeper, and then you just like hear the sound, and that's how you know, like, oh shoot, we gotta go in the basement or whatever. So I remember when there was like this huge storm that hit Michigan. We were on our way home from my dance class, and my mom picked me up, and then we're come to this 3-way stop, and the front of the car started lifting because there was this just huge storm that hit, and then the winds were so high, but we didn't really know there was a tornado happening. We knew there was like a tornado watch, but tornado watches happen all the time. So the front of the car started lifting. And so this 3-way road, so we're here. Again, anybody, you need video to get this. And then right on this side of my hand, so on this side of the road, there's kind of like this hill that goes down. There's like a house up here, and then down here is my elementary school. And so when the tornado came and it started like lifting the front of the car, I remember my mom looked at me and she was like, shit, what should I do? And I'm like, we should go. And so she ended up just like stepping on it, and then we went through, and then that elementary school got flattened by that tornado probably less than 10 minutes from when we were there. And because they had the news had like found a clock that had stopped because like the batteries got ripped out or something. I don't know. They found the clock somehow. I don't know why. The time was still on it. Complicated, but yeah, that was my elementary school that got completely flattened. And I remember my mom and I looked at each other like, holy crap, like we just barely made it out of there.
Yeah.
It was wild. And then when I showed up to my house, all my cousins, it was my Uncle Nathan and all his kids and my Aunt Jean, we were all downstairs in the basement because we had a basement and they didn't.
Yeah.
So with the tornado watches, they came over, and then we were all in there when it hit. It was crazy. It was so crazy.
Yeah, it's really interesting as far as like, earthquake. Like we come from different spots where I'm not necessarily afraid of earthquakes because dependent on where you're at, I guess. If you're in a high-rise building,
yeah.
Although most high-rise buildings here,
the newer ones are more infrastructurally like actually made.
Believe it or not, they actually put industrial springs at the bottom where the foundation is. So
that way it'll wave.
It kind of floats.
Yeah, so it doesn't
moving,
like collapse.
It kind of just moves with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
But I feel like a tornado would be insane to.
Oh, they're so cool, and they're terrifying, and they do so much destruction. And
You know what's really scary though? A tsunami.
Okay, I keep having this reoccurring dream of a tsunami, where it's always me, you, and like Jose and Luis, and we're like all at the beach, and then we're like on the pier, and then all of a sudden this tsunami hits, and we have to like run from it. And I've had that dream like at least 5 times, along with the dream where I'm trying to quit school and I can't.
Yeah, it's
I hate recurring dreams.
What's crazy is that with an earthquake, it tends to not last very long.
Right.
It's usually between 30 seconds, sometimes a minute, sometimes more than that, but it's very rare if it goes longer than that. Whereas a tornado, its destructional path is much smaller than an earthquake, dependent on the size.
It depends on the size, the speed, and how long it lasts.
But in the grand scale of the area that it's in, let's say in a state, right? Like if it's in an entire state, it's very minimal versus an earthquake can cover an entire state.
I would say that's subjective, depending on the tornado, because I have seen tornadoes that have been 2 miles wide and covered across 2 states and did not lift and did not. Like they've covered 2-3 states in that path, just gone and everything around it doesn't get as destroyed, but it definitely, I feel like it can cover the same amount of ground. It's just in a different way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, overall, just that.
The radius is different, but I think the mileage can be the same.
I guess what I'm trying to say is like, you know, if a tornado could be 2 miles wide,
Right.
right?
And it could be on the ground for
Days, right?
not usually days, but hours for sure.
Yeah.
And depending
But
on how
if the
fast it's
state
moving.
is, you know, 10,000 miles wide is what I mean, is like it's a very smaller scale as far as
Sure, but even when you look at those destructional passive earthquakes,
it's usually more
it's
central
usually it's
usually
very
more
central.
versus the
Yes.
it goes out. Yeah.
Yeah.
But with a tsunami,
Yes. No.
that's coastal.
That's terrifying.
That's coastal. I mean, not necessarily coastal as far as like the entire coast, but
No, that's
it's still
terrifying.
huge.
Even
And then when it goes inland, it's still pulling water in until it starts to pull back.
well, okay, so that's like talking like tsunami and hurricane level, and now we're talking about like storm surge and things like that, which is storm surge like and tsunami. I don't want to say they're similar, but a tsunami is basically like a gigantic storm surge.
Yeah.
In the way it operates, of what it scientifically is and what causes it is different, but in what it is, of just a gigantic wave of water just ruining life.
Yeah.
But and it just makes me think of like the floods and stuff that happened recently here on like Mission Beach and Pacific Beach. Like that's obviously not tsunami, but to see the destruction that that little bit of flooding made is like, that would like devastate this coast.
Oh yeah.
If a tsunami came through here, it would be wild.
Most of California's coast would be wiped out.
Oh yeah.
All the way through. Like, I mean, I hate to say it, but even if there was a tsunami or, you know, a gigantic storm surge, you know, our place would be hit so hard because we're in a valley. So
we're in a valley and we're right by the river, and all that storm surge would go right up in that river, and we would be.
But there's nothing to stop it. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. We'd be done.
It would just go for miles all the way in. You know, like Mission Valley, like San Diego River would literally be like not a small river anymore.
Yeah,
It would be
well, and it does go like it covers like a long path of San Diego. Like it's not just where we're at. It goes pretty far. So it would be crazy.
Yeah.
Literally crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just really crazy to see like kind of like what.
Dave, have you ever experienced a tornado? I know you say tornadoes scared the hell out of you, but because I know Dave's in Oklahoma, and I don't think he lives in like a tornado alley there, like the area of Oklahoma, but I feel like he's told me in the past that he hasn't. But I was just curious if it's been different since you've been back. Shut up. Don't look at the comments for why we're laughing.
Yeah.
Sometimes I say things and they sound bad and I don't mean it.
But at the same time, you know, like, so with these disasters and stuff, like there's got to be, you know, there's obviously like some funding for, you know, being able to help people recover and all that stuff. You know, there's some people that, you know, kind of go out of their way to try and help as well. Whether that be they donate money, they donate food, clothing. I mean, some people actually drive down there and try and help.
Oh yeah, and some people will go like rescue dogs. There are people that go out there and rescue the animals, and then people that, you know, bring the things to the shelters and for the people and stuff like that. There's multiple ways to help for these disasters.
Overall, like, if you have the time to go help those people, that's awesome. Unfortunately, I would definitely not be able to do it. So, yeah. But that kind of opens up the next subject, and it's kind of like, you know, at what point does being kind starts to be more of a hassle kind of a thing? Like,
nice segue.
I know, right? I try. Sometimes I try. But it's mainly like, you know, for example, I was going to the gym in the morning, and there was like 3 people kind of behind me. Now they weren't far, but they weren't close. And
Behind you for what?
to
like-
get into the gym, like to open the door, like right.
Oh, like when do you stop holding the door open for
When do you
people?
stop holding the door for somebody, or at what point, like when you're driving, at what point do you stop letting people come in? Right, you're driving down a long roadway, and
After
there's a lot
3?
of drive-ins, and people are trying to come in. Like,
After 3, I'm like, no, dude, ask that person.
Yeah.
I can't. And then what blows my mind too is like, because this is always a topic of conversation with a lot of people about like, how long do you hold the door open? Like, my other question is like, how come there's not another nice person that like sees you when they're like, oh, let me help and take over? There's never that person.
yeah,
You're just stuck there forever. And now all of a sudden you work for the venue
yeah.
and you hold the door open.
Now you live there. Now you're part of the. Now you're part of the decor. But that was the thing, is that so I was holding the door, and they were coming, but there's a point where, and this has happened to me as well, where you are not the door holder, but you're the person trying to make it at the door.
Yeah. So do you
because
kind
that
of like
person's
a,
holding it.
do you do kind of like a pretend jog?
Well, I
Like,
mean,
I'm trying to get
everybody
to you
starts to
fast.
start running, but it's like you don't want to seem rude. But now, are you the a-hole for making this person have to hurry up? They're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry," and I always tell people, "No, you're fine. Don't worry, take your time." But everybody always starts running, right? Everybody starts to jog to try and get over there,
Yeah.
so they can, make sure that they're not being rude. But yeah, like at what point are you like, okay, I'm not holding the door anymore?
It's like a timer.
Yeah,
At
Or
some
a
point,
count.
you do have to be like, okay, yeah, we're done.
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know when that point is. I feel like you just kind of like have to wait for like a gap, and then you just kind of go around and like sneak in.
I sometimes do the I didn't see you. I see you in the peripheral, but I'll just open the door and let it go and just be like, oh, and then
Yeah.
when they walk in, you're like, oh no, I'm so sorry.
I like to do
didn't
the
know."
thing. I like to do the thing where like instead of like holding the door open, I'll go forward and like hold it like this way where
Mhm.
it's like behind me, and then I wait for them to grab the door and then I go.
Yeah,
So that way like I don't get stuck on the other side like holding the door open, but like I've held the door open for the next person. And then hopefully if there's a lot of people, it just everybody kind of grabs the door and kind of just, helps themselves because you can.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah,
But then too, I mean, there's always the difference where I did see like a woman that she like needed help to open the door, like she was like in a walker
Mm.
and stuff, and I felt like it's hard when you don't know if somebody like that doesn't want help or when they do. But I definitely like went in front of her and I like opened the door, and I can't remember where I was. I don't know if it was like grocery store, pet store, or something, but I don't know.
yeah. When I went to the store the other day, and I only had like a few things. Yeah, I didn't have a whole lot of stuff, and so the lady in front of me had a basket full of crap, and I'm the type of person to be like, hey, is it okay if I go in front of you? I only have a few things.
Oh, you'll ask?
No, I never do that.
Oh, okay.
I never ask.
I was like, wait, you've asked before?
but
never ask.
I've been asked.
I've been asked. Okay, no, I haven't been asked before.
I've been
People
asked.
have said, hey, you can go in front of me. You only have a few things. And
Exactly.
I will say no. But if they say no, it's okay. And then I say no again. And then they go, no, I have to like by the third no, I will hop in front of you. But I try to be like, I'm not in a hurry. It's fine. If I was in a hurry, I would be in a different line.
No, I'd go if I said no, it's fine, I can wait. They're like, no, it's okay, and then I'll jump right in front. Fine.
Yeah. I
Like,
don't know.
I'd like to be nice and wait and like be like, hey, I'll take my turn. But if they literally have a basket full of things and I have 3 things, I'm not waiting. Like I'm gonna
If you have a basket full of things, are you letting the person with 3 things behind you in?
go forward. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in that situation?
Not necessarily.
Pixar, it didn't happen.
Not necessarily. I mean, most of the people that are behind me anyway, but we never have a basket full of things.
Yeah, that's true.
Like I'm not even joking. This thing was filled to
Okay.
the top
Okay.
full of stuff.
Yeah.
But so she let me go in front and she's like, no, go ahead. I'm like, are you sure? She's like, yeah, it's fine. She's like, you only have a couple things. And I was like, great. So I go up all my stuff in, and then there's this guy that just like running back and forth to a bunch of different places, and he comes over to me and he's like, "Hey, can I grab some cigarettes?" I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm just trying to buy some cigarettes. Is it okay if I buy cigarettes?" And I was like, "Oh crap! Now I'm in a dilemma. This nice lady just let me go in front of her."
And now you don't want somebody else to go in front of you because now
Because
she let two
now
people take
she's
cutsies.
waiting. Exactly. I'm like, well, great. Now, does that point, if I don't let him go, does that still make me an a-hole? Or do if I let him go, am I still the a-hole because this lady let me go in front of her?
I feel like
now I'm letting this guy in front of her.
I feel like you would have to like look at that lady and like read her body language in her face and be like, well, this, nice woman, I was actually behind her, but she let me go in front of her. So
Oh, I made
I
it very
wouldn't-
apparent.
yeah, I wouldn't want to, I wouldn't want to make
Oh,
her mad.
inconvenience her.
Yeah,
Inconvenience her.
inconvenience her when she already kind of like let somebody because too, when you're that person and then one person has 3 items and you let them in front of you, and then the next person behind you has 3 items and then you let them in front of you. You know what I'm saying? Like, at what point do you stop then?
Exactly.
Like-
Exactly. Just like the door.
At what point do you stop?
Just like the
Yeah.
door. When do you stop? But that was the thing is that, so I said, that's fine. Like he's just getting cigarettes. He did take a little bit longer because they had to go to the
yeah,
shelf.
of course.
Needed to pick it out, came back. And then he said, he's like, oh, thank you. And I verbatim, I said, don't thank me. Thank this nice lady for letting me go in front.
Okay, I have a story for you.
And so
I like that story.
Yeah. And so then she's like, no, it's okay. And then so I went and paid my stuff. And then I made sure I went back to her and I said, hey, thank you so much. Thank you for going in front of me. Like, and sorry. And I was like, sorry, I didn't, I just was trying to be nice, just like you. But I didn't realize it was like me. And she's like, no, it's fine. I'm like, okay, well, but at the same time, I was like trying to show her, like, I was trying to do a nice deed, but also like, I didn't think it was going to delay things.
Yeah.
It wasn't by much,
But
like
still,
a minute
it
or
was,
two, but still.
So I had somebody and they let me in front of them because they had like a big cart and they only had a few things like we're talking about. And there was another person in front of me and he had like 2 things in his cart. And then he said something to me and then he was like, okay, I got to go get something. So he had to go leave the line. And then he was like, well, if this person in front of you is done, then you can just go in front of me if I'm not done. So the person in front of me was done. I went in front of him. And then somebody else also walked up to the line, but the person, so I don't know, it might not have been a person like letting me forward. That person might have either moved to a different line. I'm not fully remembering the story, right? I just remember somebody else came in that line and like was like, okay, so is this your stuff? And I was like, no, that's not my stuff. That guy left and he told me that I could go in front of him if he wasn't back in time. And then like literally 10 seconds later, he walked up and I was like, I'm not a part of this. Like he told me I could go in front of him. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
It was just like so weird. I don't know.
Yeah,
I know I feel like I told it all wrong, but you get it.
I also feel like what's that whole thing? Like if somebody takes the time to put their grocery cart away, like their IQ is like something high, or I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah,
It's like
no,
some
I know
saying
what
or
you're
something.
talking about. There's a whole grocery store cart thing about how you're like really rude if you don't. Well, it's a whole thing about like how good of a person you are.
Yeah.
If you see it there and then you don't put the cart back, it's more of like a test on humanity or something like that. I don't know. There's memes all over the place about it, but it is interesting.
Yeah. I always put the cart back
I always put the cart back too.
because last thing I would want is for a cart, which has happened before, a cart just come flying into my car, or flying into me, or flying into somebody else's car, or into somebody.
Yeah.
Because that would royally suck.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, I feel like, trying to be a nice person it's really up to the person, and it's got its
It is, and I feel like, with the situations that we've talked about here, it's very different and circumstantial, and it's to each their own on how they handle it.
yeah.
But
Yeah. Because sometimes when I'm also like going into the grocery store,
Yeah.
like for food for less or whatever,
yeah,
they have a bunch of carts and there's like a bunch of people walking up. I always grab the cart and I literally hand the carts out before I grab my own.
Yeah, you don't work there.
I know.
I don't do that.
I don't do it often. It's
Now you're being too nice. That's the answer.
Yeah.
That's the line.
that is
We
the
found
line.
it.
I mean, I'm gonna continue doing it, but I don't do it like often to where it's like
It's
every
very
single
nice.
time. But like for example, like, and I know women can do it themselves, but it's like if there's a woman coming up, I'll give it to her. I'm like, hey, here you go.
No, that's very nice.
Yeah.
Also, I hate that the world is like women think they like
I was not trying to,
it's a
but-
whole other conversation. But
yeah,
yes, that's very nice.
too nice at some points, I'd say.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
But
It's okay.
I think that's acceptable.
Yeah.
All right. Well, should we call it? Should we get back?
Yeah.
I'm
yeah.
hungry.
Yeah. My dad's making some really good food. So shout out to my family for giving us a little time to be able to come and run out and do this. And not trying to plug anything, but if you're ever going to Mammoth, Bishop, or Lone Pine, or anything on the eastern side of the Nevadas in California, and you drive through Ridgecrest or Inyo Kern, there is a sweet brewery that's on the 14, and they have some really good beer. They got some really good sodas, candy,
called
all
Indian
locally
Wells.
owned. Yeah, it's really good. And right now we are sipping on some black cherry hard soda. Or she hasn't yet. I've been, but it's really good. That I bought a case of it. Not to throw in a plug because they're not doing anything. I just wanted to try and support some more local stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, so if you're over this area, come and check them out. But
All right, y'all.
yeah, I think that's it. The usual stuff. Like and subscribe and throw some comment down
Yeah.
below. And
We'll put the replays up tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow.
yeah, tomorrow or sometime this week. Yeah. But
Yeah.
but yeah,
Thanks for joining us.
yeah, we're gonna have a little more conversations next week. Might make it a little bit longer, not by much, but try and hit some topics that we weren't able to today. And
Yeah.
just give us your input. What
Give us
do you
your
guys want to talk
thoughts.
about? What do you guys want to? What topics? What things? What people? And who, where, what, and why? So, right.
Catch you next week.
all right, we'll see you all.
Bye, guys.